question for you. What do you do when you have a problem? What do you do when you have a problem to solve? Do you freeze? Do you grow frustrated? Do you yell and scream? Or do you internalize it and let it swirl around in your head at night and keep you awake? Research shows us that 85 to 95% of what we fear never even happens. Often the reality is simpler than all the scary things that we imagine. But nonetheless, we want to be proactive and hit these problems head on. So that's what we're going to talk about today. When you have a problem, first, we have to discover what the problem is. We have to actually identify it. When we first experience a problem or think about it, we can have a lot of emotion attached. There will be a lot of things swirling in and around, and it's confusing. So I have to stop and ask myself, okay, what is the problem here? The question that I'm asking myself. What am I actually trying to solve? And that is how we begin, identifying and discovering the problem. Now we've identified the problem, but we need to be realistic about what we can and cannot do to solve the problem. We have to realize what is within our control and what is out of our control. Often when we identify the problem, we have a lot of emotions and ideas flooding into our mind. So the very first thing I do is I pray. You knew I was going to say that. After I pray and start to settle my mind, then I make my list. And in my list, I need to have the pros and the cons. I ask myself the questions. And I want to be very practical about what I can do to help solve this problem. Also, this is a time when it's very wise to call on somebody else. This is when we can talk with somebody who we trust, and they will help us because they know the ropes. A confidant who's been there before, and they can tell us what they've done that was of great help and what it's not worth spending our time on. This will save us a lot of time, patience, and often money. This is a great time to bring in the Pareto Principle, the 80-20 rule. This tells us that if we focus on that top 20%, the critical 20%, that this will solve 80% of our problems. So it will help us to not be so scattered. So you look at your problem and you take the top couple ideas, and as you solve those, you will improve or solve 80% of your problem. So you've gathered your information, you've prioritized, and you're putting your plan into action. You're focusing on the top 20% to solve 80% of your problem. Often, the last bit will work itself out. But we have to realize this is the best we can do, and it's all we can do. And beyond that, it's not worth worrying and spending all of our time being frantic. I wish I could tell that to my younger self. I remember one problem. It's a bit of a simple example, but I think it's very realistic. I wanted a puppy several years ago, and I was excited to get that puppy. I had discovered the breed that I wanted and the breeder, and I had put money down. I was anxiously awaiting my puppy to be born. Well, life happens, and as it was, my husband lost his job. Oh, I still wanted that puppy. I brought in all the emotion. I could think of all the pros, all the great reasons to have that puppy, but then I had to do the cons. And I went back and forth, and I ultimately decided I couldn't get the puppy. It was not a wise way to use our money. After all, I didn't know how long my husband would be out of work. As it was, he was out of work for a whole year. And when he did take on a new job, shortly thereafter, we traveled overseas and we lived in another country. That would have been really difficult with a new puppy. What would I have done? So that was one of the times when I weighed out all the priorities and it came out to a good decision. Sometimes you do your very best and you make a decision and it doesn't end up being the one that was the best choice. All we can do is give our best, but it's wise to be proactive and to actually do something, to put it down on paper so it's not just swirling around in our head, taking up our head space. It's not always easy making good decisions, but we do our best. Part of what propelled me to look into how to make better decisions was when I had children. I wanted to help them and equip them to make good decisions in their lives. Before I made this video, I asked them what they do when they have decisions to make together. And each of them said that either verbally or on paper, they make a list and discuss pros and cons. Remember, values are caught and not taught. And if you have young children, they're watching you. You're doing a great job. Keep it up, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.